Chapter 3. Not all that Mrs. Bennet, however, with the assistance of her five daughters, could ask on the subject was sufficient to draw from her husband any satisfactory description of Mr. Bingley. They attacked him in various ways with barefaced questions, in ingenious suppositions, and distant surmises. I don't know what that means, but he eluded the scale of them all, and they were at last obliged to accept the second-hand intelligence of their neighbor, Lady Lucas. Her report was highly favorable. Sir William had been delighted with him. He was quite young, wonderfully handsome, extremely agreeable, and to crown the whole, he meant to be at the next assembly with a large party. Nothing could be more delightful. To to be to be fond of dancing, dancing. What is the best way to pronounce it? Dancing? I of course know what it means. Dancing, okay? Was a certain step towards falling in love, and very lively hopes of Mr. Bingley's heart were entertained. If I can but see one of my daughters happily settled at Netherfield, said Mrs. Bennet to her husband, and all the others equally well married, I shall have nothing to wish for. In a few days, Mr. Bingley, Mr. Bingley returned Mr. Bennet's visit and sat about 10 minutes with him in his library. He had entertained hopes of being admitted to a sight of the young ladies, of whose beauty he had heard much, but he saw only the father. The ladies were somewhat more fortunate, for they had the advantage of ascertaining from an upper of ascertaining I don't know what that means from an upper window that he wore a blue coat and rode a black horse. An invitation to dinner was soon afterwards dispatched, and already had Mrs. Bennet planned the courses that were to do credit to her housekeeping. When an answer arrived which deferred it all, Mr. Bingley was obliged to be in town the following day, and consequently unable to accept the honor of their invitation, etc., etc., etc. Mrs. Bennet was quite disconcerted. I don't know what disconcerted mean, by the way. Okay, I hear it a lot and I kind of understand it, but I don't really know what exactly it means. She could not imagine what business he could have in town so soon after his arrival in Hertfordshire, 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 and she began to fear that he might be always flying about from one place to another, and never settled at Netherfield, as he ought to be. Lady Lucas quieted, quieted her fears a little by starting the idea of his being gone to London only to get a large party for the ball, and a report soon followed that Mr. Bingley was to bring 12 ladies and 7 gentlemen with him to the assembly. The girls grieved over such a number of ladies, but were comforted the day before the ball by hearing that instead of 12 he brought only six with him from London, his five sisters and a cousin. And when the party entered the assembly room, it consisted of only five altogether. Mr. Bingley, his two sisters, and husband of the eldest, and another young man. Mr. Bingley was good looking and gentlemanlike. He had a pleasant countenance, I don't know what that means, and easy, unaffected manners. His sisters were fine women with an air of decided fashion. His brother in law, Mr. Hurst, merely looked the gentleman, but his friend Mr. Darcy soon drew the attention of the room by his fine, tall person, handsome features, noble mind. I don't know what mind means, and the report, which was in general circulation within 5 minutes. And in the reports which was in general circulations within 5 minutes after his entrance of his having 10,000 a year. The gentleman pronounced him to be a fine figure of a man. The ladies declared that he was much handsomer than Mr. I don't know that's a word, handsomer, handsomer than Mr. Bingley, and he was looked at with great admiration for about half the evening, till his manners gave a disgust, till his manners gave a disgust which turned the tide of his popularity. For he was discovered to be proud, to be above his company, and above being pleased, and not all his large estate in this de, deep Derbyshire could then save him from having a most forbidding, disagreeable countenance, and being unworthy to be compared with his friend. Mr. Bingley had soon made himself acquainted with all the principal people in the room. He was lively and unreserved, danced every dance, was angry that the ball closed so early, and talked of giving one himself at Netherfield. Such amiable qualities must speak for themselves. What a contrast between him and his friend, Mr. Darcy. Danced only once with Mrs. Hurst, and once with Miss Bingley. Declared being introduced to any other lady, declined being introduced to any other lady, and spent the rest of the evening in walking about the room, speaking occasionally to one of his own party. His character was decided. He was the proudest, most disagreeable man in the world, and everybody hoped that he would never come there again. Amongst the most violent against him was Mrs. Bennet, whose dislike of his general behavior was sharpened into particular. Par- Why is this hard to pronounce? Particular. Of course, I know what it means, but it's hard to pronounce. Particular resentment by his having slighted one of her daughters. Elizabeth, Elizabeth, Elizabeth Bennet had been obliged by the scarcity of gentlemen to sit down for two dances, and during part of that time Mr. Darcy had been standing near enough for her to hear a conversation between him and Mr. Bingley, who came from the dance for a few minutes to press his friend to join it. Come, Darcy, said he, I must have you dance. I hate to see you standing about by yourself in this stupid manner. You had much better dance. I certainly shall not. You know how I detest it unless I am particularly acquainted with my partner. At such an assembly as this, it would be insupportable. Okay. Your sisters are engaged, and there is not another woman in the room whom it would not be a punishment to me to stand up with. I would not be so fastidious, 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 fastidious. I don't know what it means. As you are, cried Mr. Bingley. For a king, for a kingdom, upon my honor, I never met with so many pleasant girls in my life as I have this evening, and there are several of them you see uncommonly pretty. You are dancing with the only handsome girl in the room, said Mr. Darcy, looking at the eldest Miss Bennet. Oh, she is the most beautiful creature I ever beheld. But there is one of her sisters sitting down just behind you, who is very pretty, and I dare say very agreeable. Do let me ask my partner to introduce you.